Everybody. Of course, this is Dr. Keith McNally. I'm with Michelle Ann Collins, and we're going to talk about gratitude. Now, I'm a U.S. Marine veteran and never really practiced gratitude in all of my time in service and really as an adult. But lately, and I'm 50 plus, so I'm quite up there in years for some people. I am learning the value of gratitude in a very unique way. And the more I have conversations with people, I'm finding they sit on one of two sides of a coin. And everybody who knows, I talk about the flip side of a coin all the time in my podcast, meaning this, that some people practice gratitude very authentically, that when they sit down and self-reflect, there are things that they are absolutely grateful for, and they could actually name things on a daily basis um, that have value to them that day. Like I'm grateful for, maybe I have a new coaching client, or maybe I was able to wake up this morning and not really have ideas of suicide. And so I could actually, find both of them very valuable to me. There's other people I know who practice gratitude simply as a something to check off in their journal. And so when I hear these people, I totally appreciate their space, but I don't necessarily think that's authentic way of practicing gratitude. And so, Michelle, I need you to help me understand the authentic way of practicing gratitude. Can you help me with that?
I can certainly try.
Let's give it
I'll put in my coin, both sides.
let's give this a try then. So,
Okay.
from your perspective, how does one practice gratitude authentically?
Well, I'm going to answer that by saying with mindfulness.
Okay.
So instead of just writing three things and not even being, okay, I got to get this done and go to my next thing, if you are fully present for the practice, gratitude is a mindfulness practice and it can bring you into the present moment. The other thing about gratitude is there's neuroscience studies that show gratitude can actually improve how the neurons in your brain fire. So if you are practicing gratitude on a regular basis, neuroscientists say neurons that fire together wire together. Gratitude can bring you out of a depression. It can bring you out of anxiety. It can bring you out of despair, whatever undesirable emotion you might be experiencing, and not only bring you present, but create these neural pathways in your brain, strengthen them so that you will have fewer episodes of the anxiety, the depression, all of this, because your mind, your brain, your actual physical brain neurons will be trained to go that pathway rather than the pathway of anxiety or depression or despair. Now, of course, it's not that's a very simple that's an incredible simplification of what's happening, but in only a few minutes that's the best I can do. So for example, because we always need to, what is my example here? I can be out on a walk with my dogs. I walk my dogs twice a day. And some days I really don't want to be out walking my dogs. As blissful as it sounds, I have so many appointments. It's raining. I live in Oregon. This morning it was 42 degrees and pouring rain when I walked my dogs. And I was not feeling very perky about the whole thing. But as I walked, because I have these mindfulness practices and have been practicing a while, I have authentic, in your word, gratitude. I was able to completely shift my mindset. It was still 42 degrees and raining. I was cold and wet, but I was able to take a deep breath and smell the beautiful spring air, the clean air. And I was able to laugh when my dog tried to shake off the water, because when dogs shake, it's really funny to watch. And be present in a grateful way, even though I was in a situation that could have been really miserable. So that's an example of how powerful gratitude practice can be.
Well, now I'm curious. You said that this is now a practice, so this is something that you do regularly, if not daily. So when did this start for you, and how did you recognize its value to you personally? No, I'm curious.
Well, early on in my studying, gosh, it was probably even before I started studying mindfulness, I had heard of gratitude practices being very good for your attitude. I suffered after my husband died. I met someone who was a widow and works with widows, and she has a book called A Widow's Guide to Healing. Her name's Kristen Meekoff, just a wonderful, wonderful human. And her whole thing, her one of her main things that she talks about is how impactful a gratitude practice can be for grief and sadness. And so reading her book and made me want to learn more about gratitude and to start with a simple practice. So you said, people write their gratitudes. Just starting there and learning how to be grateful in the present moment. There's always something to be grateful for. And when you are feeling grateful, you are not feeling all of those undesirable emotions. If you can bring gratitude on, and the more you practice, so say you start with those 3 gratitudes in your journal every day. Once you keep practicing, like I mentioned earlier, the fire together, wire together, those neurons get stronger and stronger. And so you're able to do things like I was this morning, right? In a miserable situation, I still found something to be grateful for. And that changed my brain chemistry from being in a dark, sad place or angry or frustrated, whatever I was feeling at the time, to being grateful. And grateful, when you're in gratitude, your brain, your chemistry is releasing the happy hormones. Your physiology improves, all of the good healthy things that can happen when you stimulated your parasympathetic nervous system. So it's endless how the more you practice, the better your life is.
Well, I now I want to ask a favor because I need you to hold me accountable, and I'm going to explain the situation. And I know you're not supposed to date yourself on video content, but here we go. It's the end of April 2024, so we have a couple days left before we transition into May. And everybody who knows me, whether social media or, LinkedIn, or just knows me personally, I'm on a mission. And so part of my mission is to do a Appalachian Trail through hike in 2025, starting on at least April 1st, only because of the weather. I don't want to do it too much in the cold. I have an adverse reaction to cold, to cold weather. The accountability here is I have to train at the very least daily, for me anyway, to do at least a 12, and I'm at this point, a 12-mile plus hike per day. And so I'm up very early in the morning. I do my 12 miles on the weekends, Saturday, Sundays, or when I have a day off from work. I push it to as far as I can go. My longest hike day is 18 miles. Now I know when I get to the trail, I'm probably gonna have to average 18 every day, if not a bit more, to do it in a certain time frame. But just like you, there are days when I'm not wanting to get up. There are days that this old body just says, not today. Now, so I've learned that I've got to listen to those times when my body just says, dude, you got to rest. But there are also days when it's just like, man, do I really got to do this?
Mhm.
So what I want to do is authentically put that mindful gratitude practice in place in order to change, the neural pathways in my head so
Mhm.
that it's easier for me to do what I got to do to accomplish the task that I want to accomplish. And so if it's okay with you, and here we are in record,
Mhm.
please hold me accountable. Are
I'm happy to do that.
are you doing this? Are you writing it down? Are you practicing what you said you're going to practice, the gratitude journal, authentically? Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. I would love that, except I'm not going to do it with you in the moment because I'm on the West Coast and I think it would be very much the middle of the night when you get up. So we'll plan a different way to do that.
That's
It's not going to
absolutely
be live.
absolutely fine. And so for those who are trying to catch that, I am up. I live here in Virginia. I'm up at 2:30 in the morning, and my 12 miles takes me 4 hours into the day. And so give so you're probably just going to
Okay.
bed, and that's okay. Michelle, thank you so much for this conversation. And for those of you who really want to practice gratitude as an authentic way of living, please contact Michelle. I'll leave her contact information in the description of this video on YouTube. And of course, she has a page dedicated to her on walkingthepath.net as part of our educational services to veterans. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Keith.